Ladies and gentlemen, we sit here just a couple of days after excellent breakouts to all-time highs on the Bitcoin chart. We saw Bitcoin breaching above an 8-year-long resistance zone, cutting through the prior 2 cycles all-time highs. There is the breakout, very strong, very powerful, very bullish, and this happened simultaneously with a breakdown on the USDT dominance chart, a chart that is reverse correlated to cryptocurrency, a chart that actually predicted the all-time highs in 2021 on both occasions right there. We broke down from that all-time high predicting structure. Excellent stuff across the board. Now, this is obviously having implications on Bitcoin. It's causing people to call for, 120K, 130K. But a lot of people so far have not caught on yet that this is having massive implications on the long forgotten, in many people's views, altcoin market. The altcoin market that's been underperforming dramatically this cycle is actually showing signs of life, and we need to discuss that today. We'll discuss the altcoin market as a whole, Ethereum in relation to Bitcoin, and then we'll discuss how to identify good altcoins to buy, which a lot of people aren't doing, or at least not doing well. So before we get into it, I want to check out the Bitunix Exchange. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global. It's non-KYC. It's never been hacked before. It's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers. Starting out with what has happened in the altcoin market and whether or not we will see an altcoin season, what it will look like, and then moving forward. We have seen excellent stuff, not only, again, on Bitcoin, USDT dominance, but also on Ethereum. Ethereum has really picked up the ball. It was completely falling behind, getting absolutely destroyed in relation to Bitcoin ever since around November. And the reason being, in my view, is because around November is when we were meant to see the start of the altcoin season. We have to remember, whether you agree with the 4-year cycle, sticking around for this cycle and the next one or not, whether you think it's going to break or not, the fact of the matter is this cycle so far has been valid within the bounds of the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle is a date range trend on Bitcoin that has implications on the altcoin market. And therefore you see micro trends forming on things like the Bitcoin dominance chart, basically as a result of the 4-year cycle. You see microtrends like this, for example. You see basically 320-day long altcoin seasons in both the prior cycles in 2017 and in 2021, 320 days long roughly. If that was going to occur again, that trend that was developing that is cross-validated with the 4-year cycle's broader trends, we would have had to have seen the altcoin season begin back in November, because obviously the cycle top as per 4-year cycle would be around October this year, and therefore November last year would be 320 days difference, right? That's when the cycle for altcoins was meant to begin. Altcoins were really meant to start popping off around November. Now, we didn't see that. We saw, for various reasons, and we could go into those reasons if you want me to. I've done it before. I'll spare you today, I believe. For various reasons, we didn't see that occur. We saw deviations, and that's when the altcoin market really got wrecked, right? In November, everything was going well. We were right on the brink of all-time highs on Ethereum, just where we needed to be, and then everything fell apart, and we just absolutely crashed down 60% on Ethereum through 2 separate macro support ranges. Now, a lot of people at that point thought, okay, altcoins are done. Altcoins don't matter anymore. We're just focusing on Bitcoin. But luckily, we've seen over the past 3 months, Ethereum actually outperform Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's come upwards in the past 3 months since April. It's come upwards a decent amount, right? A very significant amount, actually 60%. But at the same time, Ethereum, the leader of the altcoin market, which previously was getting absolutely destroyed, has come upwards about 120%. It's doubled Bitcoin's performance, showing a clear sign of life. And that sign of life has been, expanded upon in the last couple of days, with Ethereum not only breaking above its red macro range there, its resistance at 3,000, but also breaking above this critical momentum indicator resistance, which has lasted since 2024 February on our first retest of its highest macro range achieved here. And at the same time as that is occurring, as Ethereum is showing strength broadly speaking. We're seeing the Ethereum BTC chart breaking upwards from a 4-year long RSI resistance zone in yellow. That's 4 years of RSI resistance, which it's flipped to the upside. Massive shift in momentum. We should expect to follow through on this small triangle here and a move upwards on Ethereum BTC. And that will be pretty much synonymous with an altcoin season beginning if that does play out. And at this point, it seems like that's going to occur. So I do think we'll probably see Ethereum continue to outperform Bitcoin until whenever the top may be. I do think that the altcoin season will begin. I don't think that the altcoin season will be as big as it was in prior cycles because I'm working under the assumption that the 4-year cycle will remain, and it's simply just unrealistic to expect a altcoin season as big as what we saw in one of the prior 2 cycles when we have, a fraction of the time. We've only got about, 90 days left, 3 months left, maybe 3.5 months left, okay? That's not much time. The good news is, however, as I've said many times before, we don't really need much time. You can notice that even in these previous altcoin seasons, the vast majority of the Bitcoin dominance drops, and hence the vast majority of the moves on altcoins happens in very short, couple of weeks periods. So we have these 3 consecutive, very short, swift moves to downside in 2017. In 2021, we see 1 kind of 2-month-long move for downside on Bitcoin dominance. So it happens very quickly. And it's also worth noting, we've only got, if the 4-year cycle is going to play out, we've only got 3 months left or 4 months left until the top. But altcoins do and we can probably expect them to do so again, run longer than Bitcoin. So we see in 2017, Bitcoin topping out in December, Ethereum topping out in January. We see over here in 2021, Bitcoin topping out in April, Ethereum topping out in May. And not only that, but actually a very significant portion of the price action occurs for altcoins after the Bitcoin top, right? Bitcoin, it reached this top when Ethereum was at 900 USD. Ethereum topped out at 1,400, right? In 2021, Bitcoin reached its top, in the first half of the cycle at least, when Ethereum was at 3,600, it continued upwards in that cycle to 4,700. So you can see significant moves. They don't take long. So even though this cycle has been negative for altcoins for various reasons, and altcoins have performed very bad this cycle for various reasons, the fact of the matter is, if what we're seeing on the charts here is true, and if it does continue to follow this way, we will see some sort of altcoin strength, and it doesn't take long for altcoin strength to lead to massive results on various altcoins. Now, this is where we get into what's really interesting in my view, which is picking altcoins correctly. Like, you can't just buy any altcoin, right? Because you'll get wrecked. I mean, and by the way, just before we even get into that, total 3 cryptocurrency market cap is still sitting at resistance here, stepping backwards from January. So the breakout right now isn't currently occurring, but it is looking like it will, right? We're looking good, basically. We're stepping in the right direction, but that's a topic for another video. In terms of picking altcoins, my general rule of thumb for picking altcoins is don't get too stuck down on the fundamentals, okay? Because fundamentals, at the end of the day, I know people want them to matter. I know people want to seem like they're sniping excellent, gems with the perfect fundamentals that are going to blow up and be bigger than Bitcoin. The reality is 99.9% of the time, the fundamentals don't matter as much as you think they do. What matters is the charts, and what matters is marketability. That's what it is, right? OneChain, very popular coin from 2021. Sorry, not a very popular coin at all, actually. It was a low cap coin. What I meant to say was OneChain was a coin with excellent fundamentals, right? It literally had a partnership with the State Grid Corporation of China, the 3rd largest company in the world, right, by employee number. Absolutely massive company, and it still died. It never got above, I think, 300 million market cap. Right? That just shows you can have huge partnerships, huge potential, a great team working behind it, a great vision, and it still flops because it's not about the fundamentals. What you need to focus on more than fundamentals is the charts. Right? Meme coins, historically, they're a gold mine, if I'm being frank. I know people sometimes don't like meme coins. They feel like they're gambling or whatever. The reality is the charts speak for themselves. You see a coin like Peep, it's doing incredibly well. It's managed to hold up significantly, even though the rest of the altcoin market has died. But please put that into perspective. The altcoin market got absolutely shattered, and Peep during this whole period of time, or Pepe or whatever it is, managed to hold on to critical macro support zone that it was holding on to from 2024. That's an excellent sign. But one thing I want you to really notice here is it's not really about the USD valuation. What matters when you're picking altcoins is you want to pick an altcoin that is held up against Bitcoin and hence outperform the broader altcoin market, which has not. Very key point. Bitcoin dominance has been rising significantly. That means that most altcoins have underperformed against Bitcoin. If you see an altcoin on the BTC chart, right, the BTC pair, that has flatlined against Bitcoin or even gone upwards against Bitcoin, that is inherently a good pick. That is a coin that has held up well in an unfavorable market environment, which signifies significant strength and signifies that the people who hold that coin are not necessarily paying attention to Bitcoin. They like the coin for what it is. That is a bullish pick. Now, Peep, in my view, is a decent example of that. I'm not saying sell your kids and buy Peep. I'm just using an example here. It's a meme coin, so you don't worry about all that fundamental nonsense. It's probably going to get hyped and move regardless because it's a meme coin. That's what happens. Meme coins, you move first as well, usually. Second of all, structurally on the USDT chart, it's flipped above a critical level. You can see that in yellow. And third of all, on the BTC chart, it's held onto its ground for over a year, about a year and a half now. It has not underperformed. It's actually stayed on par with Bitcoin, which is outperforming the rest of the altcoin market. So coins like this are what you want to look for. You don't want to look for a coin that has plummeted in the USDT chart and also plummeted on the Bitcoin pair. In fact, the Bitcoin pair is probably more important. That's something a lot of people won't tell you. So make sure you're looking out for that, specifically the Bitcoin pairs. You want a coin that has at least stayed on par with Bitcoin or even outperformed Bitcoin. That is a coin that has genuine strength. That is a coin that is unlikely to just crash or at least unlikely to underperform dramatically. So guys, I'm relatively optimistic on altcoins here. Would like to see a little bit more, but at this point, I think it's looking decent. Again, it's not going to be anything crazy like 2017 in my view if it does actually occur, and for that reason, taking a more conservative approach I think is advisable. Even just touching Ethereum and leaving altcoins out of the equation for some people might be the move. For me personally, I'm not too keen to buy a crap load of altcoins like I was in 2017 and 2021. I'm not doing that. That's me personally, but you guys can do whatever you want. Taking a more conservative approach this time given the unique market environment. But things are looking up. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And also check out the Bitunix Exchange. Helps out the channel quite a lot. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global. It's non-KYC. It's never been hacked before. It's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers.